Yo, what's going on? This is Shaan. In this video, I want to talk about, is it possible to fully overcome depersonalization? Now, when I'm talking about depersonalization, I'm talking about in the context of anxiety and panic attacks. So if you're dealing with anxiety and panic attacks and you're getting these terrible physical sensations like, dizziness, lightheadedness, palpitations, nausea, you constantly keep having to run to the bathroom, or you're not running to the bathroom as much as you probably should be, or you're feeling like, these what if thoughts, these constant obsessive thinking, this constant rumination, this focus on yourself 24/7, and you want to get this issue fixed, but you don't know how to get it fixed. This video is for you. So without further ado, let's crack into it. So messages like these from my clients literally mean the world to me. I mean, it shows somebody who has been struggling with thick depersonalization, 24 hours sense of detachment, a loss of who he is, this feeling of being broken, to becoming a person that's fully autonomous, that's confident, that can go into the world without any sort of lingering anxiety and panic attacks. These messages, honestly, I'm so grateful and I'm so fortunate that I get to read these messages. In fact, when I was struggling with anxiety and panic attacks, and depersonalization was a big symptom for me, I was told I wasn't going to be able to get out of it. Everybody that I told, they all told me, look, this is only something, you're going to be dealing with this for the rest of your life. It's kind of like a chronic illness. You're never going to be able to, the best you can do is manage it, and the best way to manage it is only meds and therapy, and there's really no way around it, man. So you just got to make the best of it. And so when I was recovering, I was just hoping for little bits of progress. It's like, okay, man, if I could just get just a little bit better, just to be able to go to work. If I could just handle a job for 8 hours, that'd be great. That's all I need. Just a little bit of work. It doesn't have to be a lot. And then slowly and steadily, I kind of made more and more progress. It went from work to hanging out with friends to, just maybe going on a short trip. And all of a sudden, it just kind of snowballed. And that next thing I knew, I looked back and I'm like, I'm totally fine. I'm the exact same person that I used to be. If anything, I'm actually better. I can handle stress better. I'm more relaxed. I'm just an overall more confident individual. And that sense of confidence, that feeling that, oh my God, I hit a jackpot. I thought my life was ruined, and now I have another opportunity where, I'm so grateful. Life is amazing. I can't believe I got out of this. I can't believe it, And when I see messages like that, like the one you just saw, from one of my clients, it makes me feel those same emotions again. It makes me feel amazing. It makes me feel great. So in this video, really what I want to talk about specifically when it comes to anxiety and panic, I really want to talk about the symptom of depersonalization. Now, if you don't know what depersonalization is, I'm certain if you're watching this video, you know what it is because you're probably dealing with it. But just in case, depersonalization is kind of this feeling of being detached from the world. It's like this sense of unreality. It feels like there's almost like this glass panel. That's how I experienced it. There's this glass panel between me and the world, where I felt like I was part of the world, but I wasn't really fully there. And this was 24/7, and it was thick. And so really what I want to talk about in this video, one of the roadblocks for depersonalization that many people experience that actually hinders their recovery. So I really want to talk about what that roadblock is and how you need to identify that roadblock and address it in order to fully overcome. Now, hopefully you guys like the content in this video. If you guys like it, definitely hit the subscribe button down below. Next to the subscribe button, there's a little bell symbol. Whenever you hit that bell symbol, it will notify you every time I'm putting out new content. That means that you guys hopefully get amazing content, very valuable information, and it also helps out the channel a great deal. So without further ado, let's crack back into the video. Now, what makes depersonalization a little bit unique is that when people are struggling with depersonalization, there's this sense that whatever they're feeling is going to be them permanent. And when it comes to anxiety, the most devious thing about anxiety isn't necessarily the symptoms you're feeling. So it isn't necessarily the physical feelings that you're getting, the physical sensations that make you feel like you have some sort of malignant disease or something like that, or the intrusive thoughts. As terrible as they are, that's actually not the most devious thing. The most devious thing about anxiety is that it makes you feel abnormal. It feels like what you're experiencing is so unique, so rare that this is you forever, that you're broken, or that you're mentally ill, or that you're literally brain damaged. And there's no other symptom out there that I think highlights this more than depersonalization. Now, I've made a video about depersonalization before that kind of goes a little bit deeper into who struggles with it, why people struggle with it, and steps to kind of overcome. I'll put the link down below, but really what I want to talk about in this video that I noticed from posting the last video was oftentimes depersonalization, when you're struggling with depersonalization, you want a 1-to-1 ratio with what depersonalization is. That means when you read about depersonalization and you see the different symptoms, you're constantly comparing those symptoms to the symptoms you're dealing with. Now, you do this with every symptom with anxiety, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, like intrusive thoughts or obsessive thoughts, but also with depersonalization. And what happens is that when you're doing that 1-to-1 ratio, oftentimes it's not a perfect fit. So it's very possible. I get these messages all the time where somebody's struggling from depersonalization. They're like, yeah, I get what you're talking about, but like, did you struggle with it 24/7 though? Because like mine happens 24/7. It's thick. Like, does it happen is it the same intensity? Is it less intensity? Like when I get depersonalization, like my left eye kind of like has like these weird floaty things, and like I know other people that have depersonalization that don't have that. So maybe it's not depersonalization, maybe it's something else. And this is this is quite dangerous, because what's happening, and it's the mischievous part about anxiety is very good about making you think about what you have is abnormal and what you are is unique, that everyone else can possibly get around it, but there's no way you can get around it, that you can fully overcome anxiety. And so what happens is that people start kind of constructively thinking about ways that they're somehow different. So they kind of break it down into different symptoms. So they're like, well, I have most of these symptoms from depersonalization, but there's like a couple, like, I get weird floaty eyes thing, or like I get kind of loopy in the morning. And so like, maybe it's not depersonalization, maybe it's something unique. Like it can't be, because like, it's not 1-to-1. And I'm here to really tell you in this video is that you can't look at symptoms that way. You can't really focus on what you have and compare it to the symptoms. Let's take anything else, for example. Let's say you have a common cold. You have two people that have the same common cold. One gave it to the other person. Now, they're experiencing more or less the same thing. They're experiencing headaches. They're both experiencing slight fever, but one experiences nausea and the other experiences a little bit of dizziness. They're not going to look at each other and say, well, one's dizzy, well, I'm dizzy and you're nauseous, so it can't be the same thing per se. Everybody experiences depersonalization a little bit differently. Some people compare it to brain fog, or some people say, there's like this feeling of disconnect, or it feels like the colors aren't that bright. The idea is that you can't get too specific. When you're focusing on the symptoms and when you get that specific, it doesn't matter. It doesn't help you. And from my experience, from people that I've helped, depersonalization is one of those ones that really trip people up. They really feel like, what they have is unique, what they have is abnormal, and that they're not going to be able to get out of it. So the first important thing to really understand in order to overcome, to take steps into overcoming depersonalization is recognize you're not unique. I understand. You've probably been talking to a ton of people around you, and they've been saying, wow, I've never experienced what you experienced. Are you sure? Like, you're okay? Like, and you're probably reading things online where people have been struggling with it longer than you, or, they're saying, there's no way to overcome this, that there's somehow like a chemical imbalance and this and that, and that's why it's happening. And so you may be thinking that, this is unique, this is you, kind of everybody in your environment has told you that this is rare. But the thing is that depersonalization is just an offset of anxiety, and anxiety is one of the most common mental health issues literally in the US, probably in the world. And so the first thing to recognize is these symptoms you've experienced, you've never experienced before, and they're really intense, and they're so bizarre, and they're so weird that it's very easy to think that you're unique, but you're not. Oftentimes, these thoughts and this rabbit hole that people fall into, or they go down, which is trying to compare 1-to-1 their exact symptoms with, the general consensus of it, it really, you fall into the slippery slope, because end up convincing yourself that what you have is unique and what you have is rare, and that there's no way out of it. And a lot of people don't understand that when it comes to anxiety, that's the mischievous nature of anxiety. It's there to make you think that what you're experiencing is unique, what you're experiencing is rare, because that's the way it stays alive. Remember, the anxiety is just a form of fight or flight. There's the survival advantages are way higher for it to be there than not to be there. And that's a fact, because the fact that you're alive is because of the fight or flight response. What's happening is that it's just triggering this thought pattern through adrenaline, really, and by convincing you that what you're experiencing is rare, what you're experiencing is abnormal, where everyone else can maybe get better, but there's no way you can, because, you have a weird floaty thing on your left eye that, nobody else experiences. So the main point of this video is, when it comes to overcoming, the first thing you have to recognize, and sometimes it's kind of an ego hit to some people. There's some people that actually are invested in their identity, with depersonalization. And what I'm suggesting is to detach yourself from that. And that is, you're not abnormal, you're not unique. What you've experienced, many people have experienced before. Now, just because the symptoms are a little bit different, doesn't mean that it's somehow any more weird. Everybody experiences symptoms separately. Now, with that said, that's the first step. Now, the steps after that I've covered in my previous video, which is to recognize that depersonalization it's just a battered mind. It's a battered, beaten mind that's been constantly ruminating about different things over and over again. And one of the ways to protect itself is by shutting down. And that shutdown is a protective mechanism, and that shutting down is the experience of depersonalization. So what happens is that people end up experiencing that shutting down sensation, which is depersonalization, and then batter their minds even more. So they get more and more deeper in the situation. It's like, getting a headache from banging your head against the wall, and then you wanting the headache to stop, and you doing it by banging your head against the wall, Just stop banging your head against the wall. Now, it's a lot easier said than done, but that's kind of the analogy, and depersonalization is the same thing. But in order to understand that, again, this video is very crucial, because you have to recognize that if you're trying to compare yourselves to, the general consensus of depersonalization and trying to find things that make you slightly unique, you need to recognize that that's anxiety's job. Anxiety's convincing you the worst case scenario, because it needs to stay alive. And the second is that you're not unique, you're not abnormal. And so hopefully that was great info for you guys. Hopefully you guys like this video. I know it's a little bit nuanced, and hopefully I was able to clarify and make some sense. Now, if you're like, look, Shaan, this all makes sense, and I've been trying to overcome it on my own, but it's clear I've been struggling with this for months or years, and I can't overcome it on my own. Is there any way you could help me or anything like that? What I can offer you guys is access to my private Facebook group, and the link I'll put down below. Now, when you guys hit this private Facebook group, I'm very active in this group. I'm posting exclusive content that I'm not posting in any other social media platform, and this Facebook group is really dedicated to helping people overcome and fully recover fully. It's not just there for people to vent or people to feel better at the moment, or just kind of deal with their high anxiety by getting assurance seeking. This is not like that. This is people that are dedicated to fully overcoming anxiety and panic attacks. So if you guys want to know more, hit that link below. When you guys hit that link and hit the join group button, the request button, it's going to ask you 3 questions. And it's very important that you answer those 3 questions. We want as many people in as possible, but we also want to maintain the integrity of the group. Again, we don't want it to be just a regular Facebook forum or any sort of anxiety forum where people are just kind of trying to story top each other or anything like that. We really want to maintain the integrity. So if you guys don't answer those questions, I can't promise we'll let you in, but hopefully you guys get in, and I will see you guys in that group. Take it easy.